Hey, what is up, everybody? It is Dr. Vibe, your host and producer of the Dr. Vibe Show, and your blessed, highly favored, magnet for miracles, especially for someone's problem. You can also catch me hosting and producing once a week on Sunday nights at 9 p.m. A show called Do You Know What Time It Is? That is a conversation black men give confidence back about news stories, and also especially once a month, hosting and co-producing sites. And actually, we have a fellow GM here on the other end here tonight with us, Dr. Brown. And Dr. Brown is a person that I've been blessed to be introduced to through Wilhelm Cortez, the social justice editor at the Good Men Project. And he's going to be sharing a lot of stuff with us, mainly a few things tonight: the function method, community dads, play, all these sort of things that you don't know about, but you're going to know about in the next half an hour. So welcome to our show, Dr. Kwame Brown. How are you, sir?
Good, sir. Thank you for having me on, Dr. Vibe, and I think you have the best name in the world. So
Thank
I,
you.
I appreciate you having me on tonight, man.
Well, let's get everything out of the way. Dr. Kwame Brown is a real doctor, like the study in school. That's just my name because everyone asks me, "Oh, are you a real doctor?" Not the study kind. It just my name, just my name. So let's get that out of the way. We got a real doc in the house tonight. So Dr. Brown, it's all right if I call you Kwame.
Please, I much prefer Kwame. Dr. Brown's my
Absolutely.
father's name.
All right, no problem. Well, it's important that to me, it's important when I refer to people by the way they want to be referred. So that's good stuff. Can you give a little bit of background about yourself before we get into some of our wonderful topics we're going to discuss tonight?
Oh, well, first, I'm not sure there is a little bit of background about me. I've led a pretty eclectic life. So,
Okay. Okay.
I started out as two things that are relevant to this conversation. Number one, a kid who felt athletically awkward, and number two, someone who was very focused on arts and theater and thought he was incapable of understanding science. And I ended up going to school for molecular biology on scholarship and then getting a PhD in neuroscience. But throughout that time, I was very interested in movement, having been, someone who felt awkward and ended up with a dual career in fitness while I got my PhD. Helped pay the bills and helped open me up to whole new worlds of exploring movement. I became a pretty good athlete, ended up, in fact, training athletes. But my love was always with helping kids who maybe felt a little awkward like me enjoy play, and even helping those kids who were really talented and competing at a high level athletically free themselves up and just enjoy a freer view of movement. I ended up leaving. My specialty was neural development and spinal cord injury. I ended up leaving that and going into Parks and Rec like every neuroscientist does. And I ended up starting Move Theory because I just wanted to strike out on my own and sort of step outside of the system, step outside of school systems, even though I still work with schools. I wanted to be able to have something to say that was all my own. So here I am. And I hate to interrupt. I'm having just a bit of trouble hearing you right now.
Is that better?
It's a little better. It's still a little faint.
Okay. Let me put this mic a little bit. Yeah. I hope maybe is that. Oh,
It sounds like you're actually breaking up a little bit. Let's see.
better.
That is better.
Okay. There we go. All right. We're back. Okay. So yeah. So where did the interest come at the young age in athletics?
I just I hate to say this because it seems like I have such a lofty view of movement now, but man, I just wanted girls, dude. Like,
Right to it. I like that honesty. Right up.
And now, obviously I have a much deeper relationship with movement. I promote play, all over the country and really electronically all over the world. But I wanted to be like the athletic guys that got all the girls, and so I ended up really lifting weights a lot and doing a lot of athletic training. I wanted to be one of them. I also wanted to be included in that group. Something I was just talking with my students. We're on a social psychology unit. I was talking with my summer students, about in groups and out groups, and this desire we have to be part of a group. My father was a stellar athlete and a state holder in the state record holder in the long jump at one point in Massachusetts. Uh,
Wow.
I wanted to be like him too, and I was a very late bloomer, and I ended up with that level of power and agility and speed. But I just found so much more from that. So it's so funny how you can start a journey from with one perspective and end with something entirely different and expanded, and I'm grateful for that.
You had mentioned that you were an athlete, but then you left that. Why did you leave the world of athletics?
Well, I was training a lot of athletes, and quite frankly, it didn't excite me. I mean, these guys were already. I'm a teacher. I come from a family of teachers. That's what we do. That's the doggone family business. And so I didn't feel like I was teaching anything. I felt like I was sort of going through the motions with these guys, and other people feel differently about it. But for me, I was just always much more excited about starting at the beginning or closer to the beginning, and really helping somebody who may have felt like I felt. That sort of vibed with me a little bit better, pun intended.
No, hey, I like that. I like that. Hey, he said he liked my name at the beginning of the show, so he's gonna rock it out during the next few
I'm gonna
minutes.
work it in, man.
So where did the concept of move theory come from?
This is, and look, everything about my story is embarrassing. There was this group called Groove Theory,
Yeah, I
and
remember them.
I had a
Yeah.
big crush on Amel Larue, the singer for Groove Theory, and I was also thinking at the same time. I think about a lot of stuff at once, all the time. I was also thinking about sort of bridging the gap between theory and practice, and that song came on that "Tell Me If You Want Me To" from back in the '90s, and it came on the radio. I was like, I'm gonna name my thing Move Theory. And that's it. That's how it happened.
Hey, you know what? Hey, it's all fun and it's a story, and it's another interesting one amongst the many you have. Then, so once you got this idea, I'm gonna start move theory. What was next? You had an idea. What did you do with it?
Well, the reason I started that is because I was in Miami at the time, and while I was working on my postdoctoral research, I was also working at Shula's Athletic Club, and I sort of inherited a program that was set up for kids who were sedentary. And as an aside, one of the kids from that program just contacted me on LinkedIn, and he's now a grown adult and a personal trainer. Went from being a sedentary kid to a personal trainer, so it had some impact. But I started out as this guy who just wanted to teach kids how to exercise properly so they wouldn't hurt themselves, right? And so they could perform like they wanted to perform, whatever they wanted to do. But what I learned from them, I've always been, even though I talk a lot, I'm a pretty good listener. And I started to learn from them that for them it was really about having some ownership, what they wanted to do. So I really started trying to co-create experiences with them, and that's where move theory and function grew out of. Is me just asking these kids what they wanted to do, and trying to help them mesh that with what I knew was healthier for them, right? So when I was a kid and I wanted to lift weights, there was nobody except muscle and fitness to guide me, right? Muscle and fitness and inside kung fu. Those were my two teachers, right? I figured I could give the kids something a little bit better than that, and so I sort of started trying to gauge what they wanted to do, and also started helping them cooperate with each other so that everyone's needs and wants were served, and that's where this co-creation idea of just co-creating playful experiences with kids and teens, people. One of the major thorns in my paws is that people forget about teenagers when they think about play. Everyone thinks about little kids and babies, but almost no one thinks about big, huge 6 foot teenagers. And really no one thinks about adults. Humans, this is a human thing. And that's sort of what I learned from them is that when you approach something playfully and with joy and with a sense of building a relationship, not only between each other but with the movement, it just gets better.
One of the things I find fascinating, you are a man teaching this to young people. Is what are some of the challenges you face being a guy, and I'm sure you're in very good shape, teaching this to younger people. Like when they first approach you, you're a big strapping guy, you're in shape. What is their first reaction to you as as a man, as a father, sharing the concepts of play to these young people?
Well, I got to tell you, I don't really present myself to them like a father. I present myself to them as an older brother. Look, and maybe when I first started, I was more fatherly, and they were sort of, whoa, but now I'm just another, I'm a bigger, older playmate, with receding hairline. Uh,
Oh, come on, you got a ways to go, all right?
I'm trying to catch up, brother. But,
You really want this? Okay, I can give it to you. I'll show you how to get it.
yeah, I just rub my head a lot, right?
There you
Uh,
go.
but yeah, I find that at first they're intimidated, especially when I come into a school and they don't know me. They tend to be intimidated. And I learned a couple things. Number one, to put them at ease first and just say, hey, look, I just like playing. That's why I'm here. I don't know why you guys are here, but hey, I just want to play some games. And then also, I learned to self-handicap a lot. Not obviously, I would self-handicap if I'm competing with a child, but even in the way I move when I first meet kids, because a lot of them, because I remember how I was very intimidated by people with athletic prowess. So I learned to hold back a little bit and then sort of show them more and more as like, okay, you can be like this too. And that's the other thing is that I try to show kids also where they can go. Not that they can be like me, but where they can go, where they can take themselves. So I think that after the first few minutes, they're really not looking at me like a posing figure anymore.
Right, right. One of the things that I love about what you're doing is that you are doing something that, how can I say, men aren't traditionally doing.
Mm.
Am I right? Am I right in that assumption?
Yeah, especially from the early childhood perspective. I've done now, play-based programs from preschool all the way through college, and really with a lot of adults too. But yeah, when I say that I like working with kids, that kids are my mission, there are a variety of responses. Some people are like, oh my God, that's great. We need more males. Other people are like, that's weird. You're a man. You're not supposed to like that. But look, man, I come from a father who was an educator and a nurturer. So I can't help but be like this. I have to teach. I have to, and really more than that, instead of, a lot of people think of teaching as just driving information at people. I have to guide. I have to help. So I don't really pay that much attention to what people think of what I do. I pay more attention to my relationship with the young people that I'm with.
Nice, really good. There's another thing we have in common, that my father was an educator too. He was an educator in the same school, in the same classroom for 32 years.
Wow, wow.
Yeah, so I can fully relate to where you're coming from in regards to, what you're saying about, you know, teaching, sharing, etc. It's ingrained in you.
Yep, yep. And my mom was a teacher too. And it's funny, I married a teacher who is the child of. And it gets even deeper than that. When my mom taught junior high school, my wife's father was her principal. So it runs deep for us, uncles,
Man, you
cousins.
could have a really good reality show. So something, just teach us. Kwame teaches.
Yeah, the teachers, right?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
the teachers. Yeah, that's good stuff. Another one of the initiatives that you're really passionate about is community dads. Could you share with our audience what community dads is all about?
Yes, yes, I can. Listen, look, and especially. as a minority, and I hate that word because um, half of my family, half of my ancestry would be the majority in this country, and the other half would be the minority, part of a majority over the rest of the world. So, but being a person of color, more color in the summer than the winter. I, it's important to me that we have positive images of our fathers. Now, I had a dad that was actually a single dad for a while. Single African American male that's a single dad in the 80s,
Do you know
late
how
70s.
do you know how rare that is?
That's very rare. Also, when I graduated with my PhD, he looked at me, he said, "Son, do you know how rare in our community father-son PhDs are?" And I said, "Yes. Hand me a beer." Um, but it's so because of two things. Because I had a lot of friends that didn't have dads growing up in my neighborhood, but I also had a great dad. Still have a great dad. That contrast to me, it just shows me the importance of those positive images. A lot of my friends that are dads, I remember I had an interesting experience during prenatal care with my wife. I went to every appointment, um, and they would almost let the door shut on me after they ushered my wife in, and it felt to me like fatherhood wasn't really respected that well. Now here I am with 15 years in child development.
Yeah.
Uh, Knowing and being a neurodevelopment specialist at that, have taught neurodevelopment to physicians, but they kind of just looked at me like I had, three left arms. And so I find that we intermittently uh, sort of bludgeon dads for not being there, and rightfully so. Look, and we should be angry at dads that aren't there instead of angry at people for pointing it out, right? But at the same time, we have to, like any group, put our own image out there. And so, the Good Men Project asked me to share my thoughts on fatherhood because I interacted with them a bit, and I'm really a big fan of what they're doing, changing the conversation about manhood. And I told him, I said, look, I've been working with kids a while, but I've only been a dad for 2.5 years. And so I'd really appreciate it if you guys let me make this a series and talk to other dads I know that are great, because I know a lot of amazing dads. I've done 3 videos so far. Mine, I interviewed my friend Randy Guereso from Brooklyn, New York. And I interviewed Reverend Dr. Wills from First Baptist here in Hampton, Virginia, who married my wife and I. That was a very powerful interview. There's another couple in the queue that are coming. So I'm really appreciating the chance to get the series and put it out there because I really love these dads. I really love these guys. And they've been, we talk about examples that came before us, our fathers and our uncles but these guys that are my age are also examples to me because a lot of them became parents before I did. So I look to them too, and so to get to interview them, these men that are my age that I admire so much was just a gift.
Nice. What what have you gathered in regards to one or two special moments from the conversations you've had already with some of these men? Could you highlight a special moment?
Oh yeah, wow, there's so many.
You can give more than one. Give it one or two, whatever's cool for you.
Don't make me choose. So my friend Randy was talking about how he ends up co-creating play with his kids, and he actually I cannot remember. Gosh, forgive me, I can't remember the tag-along word that he used, but it was a word to say, okay, this is sort of the knowledgeable one, and they were talking about their older brother and beating him, and then the cooperative things they do, the spontaneous things they do with each other as a family, and seeing his face light up when he talked about it. Also with Reverend Wills, just his insight as a father of four and a man who's put 3 kids through Hampton University, my alma mater. His insights as to how things have changed over the years and how he talked about his own childhood and the community involvement of fathers in his childhood and how that's ebbed away as we've become more isolated. That was pretty powerful to hear him talk about that.
When you how I got so many wonderful conversations with you. They're just going to roll tonight. What are the similarities, if any, that you're finding in the conversations you're having about fatherhood and the move theory? Are there any things that are coming up in
Oh,
those separate areas that are just going, wow.
yeah, that these fathers understand, and moms do too, by the way. So we're not excluding the two groups, right? But I'm just this series I'm interviewing fathers. Fathers understand co-creating with their kids. Now, some dads obviously get a little too carried away with the sports thing, and some get way too carried away with the sports thing, and they're nuts. Um, but most dads really understand co-creating play with their kids and really understand the give and take of it and really understand that this is the kid's world. That's one thing that's been striking to me in the dads that I've interviewed.
Nice. What are some, and I don't want you to share your whole theory, but what are some, for the fathers that are not incorporating movement into their young people's lives, do you have one or two suggestions on what they can do to implement that and get that as part of their young people's lives?
Yes, I do. Bruh, join my site. No, seriously, that is why, it's funny to talk about something, the thing costs 20 doggone dollars a year, right? I have to charge for it because it costs me money to do it. But I set this thing up so that parents, coaches, teachers could interact around the idea of active play and community. That is why I designed our function community for that purpose. If I was independently wealthy, I would not charge for it. So when people ask me, do I have any advice? I'm like, dude, join this thing because that's what we do. That's what we do is help you. We have games you can download. We have videos of people playing the games. We have the function forum on Facebook that you can be a part of after you join, where we discuss things. You can ask any question, and you've got experts and parents from all over the world that will get on with you and answer that question and share their own experiences. So it's growing. It's still small, but it's growing, and that's kind of what I tell people. And we also have on my website, drkwamebrown.com, we have the free game of the month that you can download. So I'm like, look, try a couple of those and see how they work out for your family. Play those games with your kids. And the other thing I'll tell you too, say you don't want to join the site. Say you're like, screw you, Dr. Brown, screw you, Kwame. Just get outside with your kids. Take a ball. See how many things you can do with that ball. Go in the woods. Take a hike. See if you can look up the plants on your iPhone. I mean, there's all kinds of things. Crawl around on the floor with your kids. A lot of parents talk about they don't have time to exercise. We try to make time. One of the things I do, one of my favorite things to do with my daughter is she climbs on my back, and we play horsey, but I keep my knees off the ground.
Okay.
And that's,
All
dude,
right.
2.5-year-old. That's pretty heavy work. And so I crawl around with her for a few minutes on my back, and that's a good systemic movement. And we're playing together, and we're pretending, and I bay, and so do things like that. Follow along with what your kids are doing. Wait for them to invite you to play and do it. Put whatever and I work on this myself. Believe me, it is a struggle for me. Put whatever you're doing down and play. I can't tell you how many times my wife and I have to remind each other, hey, put the phone down. She's asking you to play. We're busy. We've got a lot to do. But I try to do that as much as possible. She's like, Daddy, what color do you want? Like blue. I'm coming over. So that's the other thing I'd say is just spend time with your kids and do it outside.
I just thought I'm going to give you two statements that are the opposite of each other, but I think have the same foundation. I know you'll be able to share your thought process on it. A kid without play is blank.
Dying.
Why do you say that?
To me, playfulness for humans is a lifeblood. I think and look, I'm a neuroscientist. I'm not supposed to use words like the soul, right? But I don't have a better one, okay? So sue me. But I think our souls die when we don't play. I think that we become more and more dead inside, if you will, the less and less we play. So that's the first thing that pops into my mind.
And then a kid that has play is
Living, but also loved and loving. If you're playing, that means you love something. If you're playing with someone else, and especially if you play with that person over a longer period of time, 9 times out of 10, you're going to love each other. I didn't say competing against someone. I didn't say playing, enrolling in sports with someone. But if you play with someone, it's hard not to love them. So I think you're living and you're loved if you're playing.
Taking the conversation to a little bit of a different alley, you've been a father for 2.5 years. What was that moment when you welcomed an addition into your world? How did that change your life as a man?
Oh, I'm a pretty articulate guy, I think, and I'm not sure that I have the words for that. Number one, I always wanted to be a dad, and it didn't happen easily for me. It certainly didn't happen early. I had my child at 38, so I just felt lucky, and I felt like I was being ushered and included into something that was cosmic. And it's really how it feels to be a parent to me. I can't speak for anyone else's journey, but it just feels cosmic. It feels like I'm part of Stardust, baby. So that's the only way I can describe it.
Wonderful. Can you share a special moment or two from the move theory journey?
Oh, well, to me, well, let me talk about one thread of special movements, is watching the first kids that I played with grow up. One just moved from Miami to New York to pursue her dreams as a DJ, and I remember her at 9 years old in Miami. She's a very, very special kid, and several of them are grown now. A few of them are teachers. One's a veterinarian, and so a budding veterinarian, and so I love watching these kids grow up, and I love watching who and what they become. That's my favorite thing. And also the little moments. It's been a struggle to get people to buy in. When I first came to people in the fitness and wellness field and started talking about play, they were like, "Dude, we know, but people actually have to get in shape." So I'm like, wait a minute. Last I looked playing, I remember the Washington Post interviewed me a couple times back in the mid 2000s, and they just completely turned around what I said about play to fit their sort of preconceived notions about fitness and sports. And so these moments that I've been having over the past few years where people are starting to talk about play. Now, some of them don't understand it, right?
Right.
But look, they're trying, man. They're trying to hop on, and I have no problem with bandwagon fans. Let me tell you, bring them. Okay, fine.
Right on.
Right? If you're just now coming to your senses and becoming a New England Patriots fan, I'm with you. It's fine. But
Won't go there. Won't go there.
but I love now that I hear people talking about play. I mean, I got interviewed by Shape, actually not Shape magazine, but Women's Health, which is a big fitness magazine last year. And I was so surprised that they wanted to talk to me about that. My friend David Jack from Men's Health has been on the Katie Couric show talking about play. He's also a member of our function community, by the way, and has been a champion for us. So the fact that it's coming into the mainstream now is just so special for me. And people like Exuberant Animal and Frank Forencich are getting recognized now. Stuart Brown, National Institute for Play, is another friend of mine. Those friends of mine that have written about play for a long time, now they're getting noticed and written. My mentors. So I just think that's so special and it feels like such a good time.
What message do you have for men in regards to getting play into their life? Because probably a lot of them are so stressed out or working hard or this and that. How important is it for men to have play in their lives, in your opinion?
Incredibly important. We also need to be willing to touch each other. I know that's a sensitive subject for guys, but touch each other, not to fight. And look, I get it. People think that because I promote play that I'm sort of the soft guy that maybe I'm a pixie with wings floating around in the woods or something. I don't know, but I was a martial artist for a long time, and I was a martial artist because I was picked on. I ended up getting big and strong, and I went through a period where I really, really liked hitting people. Right, so I get it. I understand that. I understand the aggro, and that just being aggressive. I don't like to be aggressive with other people, especially to subjugate them. But I like being aggressive with life. Right, play is aggressive as long as you're not subjugating another. You can aggressively move, right? So just because I'm joyful doesn't mean that I'm not strong. Just because I'm joyful doesn't mean that I'm not moving fast and vigorously. So I think too that that's a block for us sometimes as men. We feel like we're supposed to fit this strong like a bull image, right? And we're supposed to be fast and muscular. So I think number one, we've got to get over that. But you'll find that if you play, you're going to feel a lot better about your life. You'll feel a lot better about yourself, and you'll be more productive. The research is very clear that when people play, they're more productive and they are satisfied with their lives, more satisfied with their lives, and they have better connections to others. So I don't know if you want all that, but if you do, play is a primary answer for you, and so is purpose. The two aren't mutually exclusive in a life's journey.
Excellent. Well, I think we'll end off on that conversation piece. Before we let you go, do you have any closing thoughts, parting shots, parting thoughts?
Well, listen, I love the idea that we're getting play out there. Yes, I want people to join my community. If you go to drkwamebrown.com and click on join, I would love to have you in our fold. But more than that, beyond me, find somebody and invite them to play.
Okay, and before you, what is good play for men, in your opinion?
I will quote the woman from Coming to America and say, "Whatever you like."
Eddie Murphy and
Right.
Arsenio Hall. Oh man, you're an 80s and 90s man. I'm telling you, my God. Were you ever a DJ?
No, no, no. I have a lot of DJ friends though.
Okay. All right. Well, that's Dr. Kwame Brown, and you can check him out at the Move Theory. We'll have all the places where you can get a hold of him as part of the description of our conversation. It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the Dr. Vibe Show, host and producer of Do You Know What Time It Is every Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, most Sunday nights. And also, your host and co-producer of monthly Google Hangouts at the Good Men Project. As always, you're blessed and highly favored. You're a magnet for miracles and you're a solution for someone's problem. God bless, peace be well, and keep the faith.